My wife vanished on my birthday. No call, no message, just silence. I was sitting alone at Olive and Oak, at a corner table we'd reserved weeks ago. The candle between the steaks flickered against the untouched wine glasses. I remember checking my phone 27 times. She wasn't answering. My friends texted birthday wishes while I stared at the entrance like a damn fool. The waiter asked if I'd like to order. I told him to give me 10 more minutes. Then 10 more. Eventually, he stopped asking. I waited for 3 hours. At midnight, I drove home with the cake still boxed on the passenger seat. I even left a slice for her in the fridge. Pathetic, right? That night, I didn't sleep. Just lay there in the dark, listening for the sound of her keys in the door. A car pulling into the driveway. Nothing. She came home the next morning at 7:42 a.m. and she was drunk. Hair a mess. Smelling like tequila, expensive perfume, and something sour underneath. Betrayal has a scent. I swear. I didn't say a word. I just watched her stumble in like she owned the place. Like she hadn't just disappeared on the man she promised forever to. Then she smirked. That goddamn smirk. She dropped her heels on the floor and said, "Your birthday could never compare to what I did with Mike. I didn't even know a Mike." She leaned closer, eyes glassy but cruel. "He gave me something you never could." That moment burned itself into my skull. Not the words, the way she said them. Like she'd been waiting to say them. Like she wanted to hurt me. I didn't scream. I didn't ask questions. I nodded once, said, "You should get some sleep." But in my head, the plan was already in motion. Let me backtrack. Her name is Rachel. Blonde, green-eyed, flawless on Instagram. The kind of woman who smiled at strangers, but spat venom at home. We'd been married 6 years. The first 3 were all right. The next 3, like walking barefoot on glass. She blamed everything on me. The job, the house, the lack of thrills. Said I was too safe, too boring, too dependable. I used to think that was a compliment. Turns out it was a warning shot. She met Mike at a conference in Austin last month. That's what she said, at least. A software developer from Miami. Yeah, I did my digging later. He wasn't just a developer. He was her everything behind my back. And the worst part? I didn't see it coming. Or maybe I refused to. Because I remember the signs, how she started going to yoga 3 times a week in full makeup. How she kept her phone glued to her palm. How she changed her passcode. How she suddenly started caring what she wore to the office. There was even one night she came home humming. Humming. And when I asked what was so good, she said, "Wouldn't you like to know?" I should have known right then. But love makes you stupid. So back to that morning. After her little declaration, she passed out face down on the couch like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just ripped out my spine and used it as a skipping rope. I sat in the kitchen, stared at the fridge. I knew I had 2 choices, cry like a broken fool, or plan like a man who's done being played. I chose the second. First, I took her phone while she slept, scrolled through her texts. She didn't even bother deleting the messages. "Mike, last night was unreal. That thing you did in the car. I'm still grinning. Rachel, he still thinks I was with Karen. He's so gullible." I kept scrolling. There were pictures, voice notes, video clips, blurred, but enough to make my stomach twist. One clip ended with her whispering, "He'll never be you, baby. You make me feel alive." I stood up and almost punched the fridge. But I didn't, because revenge is best served cold. That day, I started building the web. Quietly, strategically. My brother Noah is a cop. My friend Luke works at a bank. And my lawyer cousin Ellie? Well, let's just say Rachel had no idea she signed her own trap when she married into this family. While she was out meeting friends, I was installing cameras, recording calls, backing up her files, building a case so tight she wouldn't be able to breathe without stepping on a landmine. And Rachel? She kept cheating, kept lying, kept laughing. She had no idea that her birthday surprise for me would be the beginning of her end. She thought she'd won, but she forgot one thing. I don't break. I build bombs. And I smile while I'm lighting the fuse. By the time Rachel sobered up that afternoon, I'd already seen everything I needed. Every message, every dirty emoji, every lie she fed me while she was wrapped around another man. She came into the kitchen, rubbing her temples, acting like I was the problem for letting her drink too much. She had the nerve to say, "Why are you looking at me like that? You knew I'd be out late." I didn't respond. I just handed her coffee and said, "Yeah, you were unforgettable." She smirked again, like I was the joke, but I was already 5 steps ahead. I saved every message, every video, forwarded everything to a private folder on my cloud. And then I started watching her differently, not like a husband, but like a hunter studying a target. She thought I was still the quiet fool who paid the bills and folded her laundry. But the game had changed. That night I sent a message to Mike. From her phone. Last night got me thinking, maybe we tell him soon? I wanted to see what he'd say. "Mike, are you crazy? I'm not blowing up your marriage for this. You said it was just fun." "Rachel, I want more. I think we should be together." I wanted panic. And I got it. "Mike, no. Stop texting me. This was a mistake." Boom. The first crack in their little fantasy. The next day, Rachel told me she had a girls' weekend planned. Classic. I told her, "You deserve it, babe. Have fun." While she packed, I slid a small GPS tracker under her car. Nothing fancy, just enough to track every move. That weekend, she didn't go anywhere near her girlfriends. She drove straight to a cabin in the hills. Guess who showed up 2 hours later? Mike. I watched it all from my phone. Tracker pinged his location, too. I matched the timeline with her texts. "Rachel, bring the champagne. I need you to erase the guilt." Mike. "You have no guilt. That's what I like about you." And there it was. She wasn't confused. She wasn't torn. She was in control the whole time. Manipulative. Cold. Calculated. She even posted a selfie online with a caption. "Me time vibes evergreen tree kiss mark." The lies weren't just for me. They were for the world. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. You don't ruin a house while it's still on fire. You wait till the embers die, and then you bury the ashes. I spent that weekend preparing. Moved some money out of our joint account into a private one. Changed the locks on the garage. Printed every piece of evidence into a thick, color-coded folder I labeled Rachel's Choices. When she got back Sunday night, I was sitting on the couch, folder in hand. She walked in like she owned the world, tossed her bag on the floor and kicked off her boots. "Did you miss me?" she said, grinning. I tapped the folder. "Not as much as you missed Mike, I bet." Her face dropped. Then she laughed, loud and fake. "What are you talking about now?" I opened the folder, held up one of the printouts, her in Mike's lap, his hand up her dress. She went silent for 2 full seconds. Then, she rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, Daniel. It's not like I murdered someone. Grow up." I just stared. I wasn't looking at my wife anymore. I was looking at a stranger who had worn her face. "You think this is funny?" I asked. She scoffed. "You were boring. He made me feel alive." I nodded, slowly. "And now you're going to feel everything else." She laughed again. "What does that mean?" I stood up, handed her the folder. "That means I've got copies. That means the house is no longer half yours. And it means Mike's going to be getting a visit from someone he won't forget." Her smirk finally vanished. She tried to laugh it off. That same arrogant smirk flickered back onto her lips like she thought I was bluffing. Like I was still the same quiet guy who would fold and forgive. But something in my eyes must have unnerved her, because for the first time in months, Rachel took a step back. "Daniel, don't be dramatic," she said, clutching the folder like it was a grocery list and not a record of every time she spat on our marriage. "Dramatic," I repeated, calmly. "You disappeared on my birthday to let another man do things to you in a cabin in the woods. And I'm the one being dramatic?" She didn't have a comeback. Just silence. I walked over to the table where I'd left a second copy of everything. Emails, GPS data, photos, screenshots of her messages to her friends where she called me dead weight, a puppy on a leash, and worse. I'd highlighted the ones where she mocked the gifts I gave her, laughed at the dinners I cooked. You printed all this? She asked, her voice smaller now, no longer the queen of the show. You planned your lies, I said. I just organized them. She stared at the pages like they were on fire. I made mistakes, she said suddenly, switching gears like the manipulator she was. But you weren't exactly the perfect husband either. There it was, the pivot. No apology, no remorse, just deflection. What did I do? I asked. You didn't see me, she snapped. You were always working. You didn't notice when I wore new lingerie, when I tried to be exciting. You mean the lingerie I found stuffed in the bottom of your purse last month? The one with his initials on the receipt? That shut her up. She folded her arms and looked away. You're being cruel. No, Rachel. You were cruel. I'm just being thorough. I didn't shout. I didn't slam doors. But every word I said landed like a hammer. I had crossed a line internally, the one between pain and purpose. I wasn't the heartbroken husband anymore. I was something colder, more precise. I want you out of the house by Friday, I said. Her jaw dropped. You're serious? I nodded. I've already spoken to a lawyer. The prenup gives me full ownership of the house if infidelity is proven. And, Rachel? I leaned in close, looking her dead in the eyes. I proved it. She looked like someone had punched her in the gut. I didn't think you'd do this, she muttered. You were always so weak. No, I said. I was patient. There's a difference. She started pacing. Where am I supposed to go? Mike's got a nice cabin. Or maybe Karen will take you in. She knew everything, didn't she? She froze. You didn't think I'd dig into your little circle too? I continued. Karen covered for you. Beth helped you delete call logs. I've got it all. She turned on me like a cornered snake. You planned this. No, I corrected. You did. I just wrote the ending. The rest of that night was quiet. She sat on the couch with her arms wrapped around herself, staring at the wall. I didn't feel bad. I felt clean. Later, I heard her crying in the guest room. The same room she used to say was too cold to sleep in during winter. Now it was hers. Fitting, really. I lay in my bed and stared at the ceiling, listening. Not with sympathy, not with love, but with the silence of someone who had finally let go of the lie. It wasn't grief anymore. It was clarity. And when I closed my eyes that night, for the first time in months, maybe years, I slept straight through till morning. 2 days after Rachel was out of the house, I stood outside Mike's apartment. It was a sleek complex downtown. The kind of place that screams, I care more about the gym on the second floor than about real relationships. Stainless steel, keyless entry, fake modern art in the lobby. I waited until just after sunset, when people were coming back from work, and used the building directory to buzz a random tenant. They let me in without asking. I walked down the hallway until I found Unit 12B. His name was taped to the mailbox. M. Carlton. I'd expected something douchier, but it still made me clench my fist. I didn't knock right away. I needed a second to breathe. I wasn't here to swing or scream. I was here to finish the loop. The door opened before I could knock. Mike stepped out, trash bag in hand, almost bumping into me. He froze when he saw my face. I smiled. Hey there, Mike. His eyes widened. Daniel. Surprised. I said, don't worry. I'm not here to fight. We're past fists. He stepped back fast, dropping the trash bag in the hallway. Look, man. I don't want any trouble. I didn't know. You didn't know she was married? I tilted my head. Come on. You both mocked me in texts. He flushed. She said you two were basically done. That she was trapped. I chuckled bitterly. Trapped? In the house I paid for? The one she decorated with Pinterest boards and screamed about needing quartz countertops in? He had no response. I stepped forward, slow. Not threatening, but dominant. You know what bothers me most, Mike? Not that you touched her. Not even that she let you. What bothers me is that you both thought I was stupid. That I wouldn't find out. I swear. I didn't mean for anything to. You did mean it. You meant to enjoy what wasn't yours. And that's fine. I'm not here to teach you morals. I'm here to give you something. I pulled the folder from my bag, just like I'd handed one to Rachel. Read this. All of it. Every screenshot. Every lie she told you. You'll find out she said the same things to me when she first met me. Same lines. Same tricks. You were never special. Just next. He hesitated. Why are you giving me this? Because you're not my problem anymore. But she's going to make you her new one. And I want you to see her clearly when she starts crying. When she tells you she never felt safe with me. When she begs for you to take her side. He reached out slowly, took the folder. Then I leaned in one last time. She'll ruin you, Mike. And you won't even see it until you're alone, broke, and staring at an empty side of the bed that still smells like her shampoo. Don't say I didn't warn you. I turned and walked down the hallway. He didn't say a word, and I didn't care if he read a single page. That visit wasn't for him. It was for me, because I was tired of carrying their filth in my chest. I'd done the crying, the raging, the insomnia. Now I wanted release. I wanted space. Not just from Rachel, but from the version of me who put up with her cruelty, her gaslighting, her smug superiority. As I exited the building and stepped into the cool air, I felt lighter, free almost. And then, just as I reached my car, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked it up. The voice on the other end said, "You don't know me, but you need to hear this. Rachel's not done." "You don't know me, but you need to hear this. Rachel's not done." I froze by my car door. The voice was low, tense. Male. Young, maybe late 20s. My grip tightened around the phone. "Who is this?" I asked, already bracing for another curveball. "My name's Eli. I met Rachel a few weeks ago. She told me she was separated. Said her husband was emotionally distant. That he didn't care. That you were..." He hesitated. "Cruel. Controlling." My stomach twisted. "How did you get my number?" "She left her tablet at my place. I found your name in her shared drive. I didn't want to get involved, but... She's using people, man. Playing us." I got in the car and sat in silence for a second, heart pounding with a familiar mix of rage and disbelief. "Eli," I said slowly, "tell me everything." He sighed, like he'd been holding it in for days. "She showed up at my friend's bar. Said she needed to feel like a woman again. We talked. She was charming. Funny. We started texting. Hooked up twice. Then she started acting possessive. She wanted to know where I was every hour. Who I talked to. I backed off. She said you were abusive, Daniel," he added after a pause. "That she had bruises from you grabbing her arm." I laughed, bitterly. Of course she did. There were never any bruises. The only things I ever grabbed were her empty wine glasses and her lies. But that was Rachel. When the walls closed in, she lit fires in other rooms and screamed, "Look over there." She told me she filed for divorce, Eli continued. Even showed me fake papers. Then I saw her name still tagged on your mailbox downtown. That's when I knew something was off. I shook my head. "You're not the first. You won't be the last." "I'm sorry, man," he said. "I didn't mean to be part of anything shady." "You didn't know," I replied. "She's a professional." We hung up after a few minutes. He sent me the fake divorce papers. I recognized the signature forged just like everything else she touched. Rachel wasn't just a liar. She was an artist. She painted herself into everyone's heart like a masterpiece of pain and fragility. Then once they cared, she'd start peeling pieces off of them, one lie at a time. I stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror. I didn't look shocked. Not anymore. I looked like a man watching the final cracks in a collapsing building, sad, but not surprised. I didn't call her. I didn't confront her. I knew what she'd say. "He's just some psycho I dated for a minute. He's jealous. You're overreacting, Daniel." Again. Same script. Different scene. Instead, I called Ellie, my cousin, the lawyer. "I want it airtight," I told her. "Restraining order, emergency motion to secure assets. She's dangerous." Ellie didn't even ask for details. She'd seen enough already. That night, I packed everything Rachel ever gave me into a box. Photos, notes, her old perfume bottle. Even the ring I bought with 3 months' salary. I drove it out to the lake, tossed the whole thing into the water, and watched it sink. Let her memories drown. Let the fish choke on her apologies. And just as I turned to leave, headlights flared in the distance. A car. I knew that shape. Rachel. She stepped out, barefoot in a cocktail dress, mascara smudged, screaming across the wind. "You're throwing away us?" she cried. "After everything?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her. "You think Mike's better?" she shouted. "You think you're so noble? He blocked me. He didn't even care." I said nothing. She staggered forward, sobbing now. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Daniel. I didn't. I was scared. You were always so cold." "That was rich. I learned it from you," I said quietly. "Now I use it better." The next morning, my lawyer called me at 9:13 a.m. sharp. "Daniel," Ellie said. "She filed first thing this morning. She's gonna try and beat you to court." I wasn't surprised. Rachel never played fair, she played fast. And filing first? That was part of her performance. She wanted to paint herself as the victim, the poor betrayed wife, the one trying to escape. Ellie continued. "She's claiming emotional neglect. Said you were manipulative, volatile, and had a pattern of verbal abuse." I laughed out loud. "She's really going all in, huh?" "Yeah," Ellie replied. "She submitted screenshots. Selective ones, clearly edited, made it look like you were threatening her. Fortunately, we have the originals. We're counterfiling for malicious defamation and fraud." It didn't stop there. Over the next 2 days, I got calls from mutual friends, or should I say her friends, people we used to have over for game nights and barbecues. "Hey man, Rachel's saying you hit her." One of them whispered. "She posted something online about emotional trauma." Another added. "She told everyone you were obsessed with her and tracking her car." Of course she did. The GPS tracker I placed had already been removed. She must have found it. And instead of being afraid, she used it, twisted it into her victim narrative. Then she made a post on Instagram. A selfie looking tearful with the caption, "Sometimes the ones who smile the most are the ones surviving the most pain. Broken heart hashtag, healing hashtag, freedom hashtag, final line." Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments calling her brave. And just like that, Rachel the Snake was reborn as Rachel the Survivor. But what they didn't know, I had the receipts. All of them. Ellie and I compiled the full timeline. GPS logs, messages between her and Mike, videos from the cabin, voice recordings of her threatening me during arguments, the phone call from Eli, photos of her with the other man, time-stamped to the very night she claimed she was scared for her safety. I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was building a weapon. And Rachel, she had no idea what was coming. Then the court date arrived. She walked in wearing white. I had to suppress a laugh. Her lawyer stood beside her, a sleek-looking woman in red lipstick and high heels, flipping through a folder like she was holding the 10 Commandments. They looked smug, calm, confident. Then Ellie walked in, all business. Black suit, cold eyes. She dropped 2 thick binders onto the table like they were loaded with bricks. When Rachel saw the footage, the real footage, her face changed. She blinked once, twice, then clenched her jaw. I saw it, that flicker of panic behind her eyes. It was over. We didn't even make it to full trial. Her team asked for a settlement. We countered with full asset division in my favor, citing adultery, fraud, and defamation. She fought it for 3 days. Then her lawyer pulled her aside, whispered something, and Rachel signed. She walked out of the courthouse with sunglasses on, head high, but her hands were shaking. I watched her climb into the passenger seat of a car I didn't recognize. She didn't look back. I stood there for a long time after she drove off. Not smiling, not satisfied, just finished. It wasn't justice, but it was close enough. That night, I poured a drink, sat on the patio, and breathed like I hadn't in years. No more gaslighting. No more lies. Rachel was gone. And this time it was permanent. After the courthouse, everything went still. No more texts. No more slammed doors. No crying fits at 2 a.m. No perfume-soaked apologies or, "I just need you to listen for once" speeches. The house was quieter than it had ever been. At first, I thought the silence would feel like peace. It didn't. It felt like standing in the aftermath of a storm. Debris everywhere. Roof torn off, walls cracked, and the wind still whispering she was here. I started noticing things I hadn't paid attention to in years. The way the sunlight hit the corner of the living room around 9 a.m. The small creak in the stairs I always stepped over but never fixed. The sound the fridge made when it kicked on. Humming in an empty kitchen that used to be filled with passive-aggressive conversations over coffee. She wasn't just gone. She had evaporated. Took the noise with her. The chaos. The lies. And for a while, I wasn't sure who I was without her storm cloud hanging over me. One night, maybe a week after the court date, I found myself standing in front of my bedroom closet. Her side was empty now, but the space still smelled like her. Like coconut shampoo and the kind of expensive perfume you buy not because it smells nice but because it tells people you're rich. I stood there for a long time just staring, and then I laughed. Quietly, bitterly. She was like a bad magic trick. Dazzling on the surface, full of illusions, until the curtain dropped and you realized the rabbit was fake and the hat was hollow. I boxed up the rest of her things the next day. Perfume bottles. Scarves. The necklace I bought her for our 3rd anniversary. The one she wore to her dates with Mike, apparently. I stuffed it all into a container and taped it shut like sealing off a time capsule of betrayal. I didn't burn it. Didn't toss it into the lake. I donated it to Goodwill. Let someone else have it. Maybe the perfume would make some woman feel beautiful again, just without the deception. I started rebuilding. First, small things. Got a dog. A rescue mutt named Diesel. Half German Shepherd, half who knows what. Loyal in a way Rachel never was. He follows me from room to room like he's afraid I'll vanish if he blinks. Then I repainted the bedroom. Ripped out the soft gray walls she picked. Went with deep navy. Strong, clean, unapologetic. I deleted all our photos. All except one. It's not framed. It's not even on display. It's buried in a hard drive, deep in a folder labeled old stuff. We're smiling in it. I keep it not because I miss her, but because I need the reminder. Even monsters can wear perfect smiles. I started going out again. Not to bars, I'd had enough of casual love. But I joined a hiking group. Met people. Laughed for real, for the first time in years. There was a woman named Taylor who reminded me what kindness looked like. We talked, slowly, over weeks. I didn't rush it. I wasn't looking to replace anyone. Just to remember I still had something in me worth sharing. I never told her about Rachel. Not all of it. Not yet. Some ghosts don't belong in new chapters. They stay locked in old ones, where they can't stain the pages ahead. One night, Diesel curled up at my feet while I sat on the porch with a beer. The sky was clear, the kind of blue-black that feels endless. I closed my eyes. No more lies. No more screaming. No more smirks. Just silence. And for the first time, it actually felt like peace. People say betrayal teaches you about others. They're wrong. It teaches you about yourself. After Rachel, I learned what I could survive. Not just the betrayal. Not just the nights I wanted to scream into the void or break every photo frame in the house, but the aftermath. The rebuilding. The isolation. The mornings when I woke up expecting the weight of her beside me, and instead found a dented pillow and the ghost of someone I used to love. I learned how far I'd let someone drag me before I finally planted my feet. And I learned how fast I could become a stranger to myself. A man who once laughed freely, who softened at kindness, who believed love was enough. She didn't just cheat on me. She rewired me, taught me that love in the wrong hands becomes a weapon, a tool for manipulation, a leash. But here's the thing. Once you survive someone like Rachel, you don't go back to being the same man. You become sharper, calmer, more aware, not bitter, wiser. I started journaling. Never thought I'd be the guy to do it. But there was something healing about writing it all out. Not for an audience, not for revenge, just for myself. Page after page of raw, unfiltered memories. The cabin. The lies. The smirk. Her perfume. The way she laughed when I told her I loved her. Not that laugh you want to hear, but the one that says, "Poor thing still believes I'm real." One night, I wrote down something I hadn't even said out loud yet. She didn't break me. She just showed me the cracks I needed to seal. That sentence stayed with me. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped blaming only her, too. Because here's the truth most people won't tell you. People like Rachel don't just slip through the cracks in your life. You make space for them. You excuse the early red flags. You rationalize the first lies. You let yourself be gaslit because it's easier than admitting the person you love is a fraud. I let her in. And she used everything I gave her to destroy me. But now I guard the doors of my life like a man who knows what it costs to be careless with your heart. Rachel sent me a text 3 months after the divorce was finalized. One line. "I think about you sometimes." I didn't reply. I didn't even save the number. I just blocked it and moved on. Thinking about me was free. Cost me nothing. And she'd already taken enough. These days, I don't look over my shoulder. I don't wonder who she's lying to now. That's not my concern anymore. Let Mike deal with her games. Or Eli. Or whoever's next on her list of disposable lovers. Let them find out the way I did, slowly. Then all at once. I walk different now. Talk different. I laugh slower, trust harder. But I also see clearer. I've rebuilt, not just my life but myself. Stronger. Sharper. And I'm not afraid of falling in love again. I'm just not afraid of walking away this time, either. If I could say anything to the man I was the night she smirked and told me about Mike, I'd look him in the eye and say, "This pain is not the end. It's the clean break you needed to become someone who never settles for less than truth again." To anyone reading this, going through the same kind of hell, listen carefully. Don't chase the people who run from your loyalty. Don't beg the ones who weaponize your kindness. And when the smirk comes, that cruel, mocking smile they wear when they think they've won, smile back, then walk away, and never look over your shoulder again. Because freedom doesn't always feel like fireworks. Sometimes it feels like silence. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's peace.